In the continuation of life is stranger than fiction, real life is just, you couldn't make this up. A man called Gary Bowser, yes, Gary Bowser, was stealing from Nintendo, and he got sent to prison for this. As we can see here, from the Western District of Washington, 2 members of notorious video game piracy group Team Executor, a 48-year-old French national and a 35-year-old Chinese national, and Gary Bowser, a 51-year-old Canadian, were charged in a federal indictment today. Essentially what they were doing was targeting popular consoles such as Nintendo Switch, 3DS, Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition, Sony PlayStation Classic, and Microsoft Xbox. They were allegedly leaders of a notorious international criminal group that reaped illegal profits for years by pirating video game technology of US companies. These arrests show that the department will hold accountable hackers who seek to commandeer and exploit the intellectual property of American companies for financial gain, no matter where they may be located. So that's just some context, and we'll probably read through this again in a second for the 1-2 punch combo that's about to come. So this guy went to prison for 40 months. Prison, of course, is what happens when you commit crimes, which this undoubtedly is a crime. Let's be very clear here. This person's not some kind of hero. He's not Robin Hood. He's not stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. He was stealing from the rich to enrich himself by selling pirated systems of things he didn't own. After being released from prison, he also civilly has to pay Nintendo a portion of whatever income he makes every month for a very long time as part of a $10 million settlement with the company. Now, as you can see here, this is a settlement. He didn't lose in court, although he probably would have done, and that's potentially why he settled. He pled guilty to this. He definitely did these crimes, and then civilly he probably also would have lost, so he would have ended up paying potentially more money, especially in fighting the legal battle, which would have taken years, money you'd be paying for lawyers that entire time. And then if you lost, you would also be paying their legal fees, plus whatever a court deemed to be reasonable for you to pay back, which could not only have been what you earned for the entire process, but also what you potentially cost them, which could have been a made-up number, essentially, something that they could have said, oh, due to your sales, if we got those sales at full retail price, because of the damage you did to our business, then it could have been this, and it could have been astronomically more. So to get out of that potential, he settled the lawsuit for $10 million. Now, I don't know how much money he earned, and you've probably seen this story framed as Nintendo were really bad. And let me just make this clear. They are. What they're doing to this man is just cruel. It is just cruel. Of course, they're well within their right to do so. I just think that the way in which this has been handed out is extremely cruel. But this person did break the law. He did also infringe on their copyright, things that they own. And they do have to go after stuff like this, because if not, you're just opening the doors for other people to do it and then use that in court like, oh, you let these people do this stuff. As part of his plea agreement, he will have to pay Nintendo $10 million. The agreement with them is that the maximum they can take is between 25 to 30% of your monthly gross income, and I have like 6 months before I have to start making payments. So not only has he been in federal prison, he's been in big boy prison for this crime, which is going to make it harder to get a job anyway. He now has to pay back 25 to 30% of his gross monthly income, and of course taxes as well. This dude's entire life, for the rest of his life, he's 53 now, by the way, meaning most people... what's the age of retirement in the US? I think most people, let's just say 60, it might be older now, I'm not sure. This dude is going to be pushing trolleys around Walmart at 70 years old in the Walmart car park with a fucked up knee, just so he can give Nintendo a couple $100 every month, because apparently that's reasonable. And there's definitely a discussion to be had here. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you're going to do this to a big company, why would you do it to Nintendo? Because we know it's proven at this point beyond a shadow of a doubt that Nintendo are going to literally have your entire ass if you do anything. You could say the word Nintendo 3 times in a mirror and a Nintendo lawyer is going to show up behind you and just start fucking sticking a finger in your ass or something. That's a joke, by the way, Nintendo. I don't actually think you do that. That is comedy. It's for the purpose of comedy. Please leave me alone. I don't need that smoke in my life right now. I have enough stuff going on. Bowser was arrested in the Dominican Republic in October of 2020 and was one of 3 members of the team which developed and sold devices to hack video game consoles, among them the Nintendo Switch. He pleaded guilty to federal charges on November of 2021. In that plea, he admitted to selling tools that hacked Nintendo Switch consoles and which his customers used to get Switch games for free. In December 2021, he agreed to pay Nintendo $10 million to settle a civil lawsuit Nintendo had brought against him. His criminal sentence also called for a $4.5 million fine, but since he's returning to Canada, Bowser said he's unlikely to have to pay that. It's unlikely Nintendo will ever see its full amount. So far, Bowser said he's paid Nintendo $175 from the money he earned working in the prison's library and kitchen. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's even worse. Bro, he was getting slave wages in prison. In federal prison, he was getting slave... I'm surprised they didn't send him out to fight forest fires for 50 cents a day, and then Nintendo took 25 cents of that every single day. He was getting American prison system slave wages and still paying that to Nintendo while in federal prison. This is insane as a story. Holy shit. He also has health issues that limit his mobility. Bowser in the podcast mentioned he was grateful to return to Canada for the access to healthcare and disability insurance that affords him. This is just mad. He's obviously never going to be able to pay this money back in a million years. He doesn't have a million years. The dude's old. He's frail. Shit like this just goes to show the legal system is just broken. Whether they're in the right is not a relevant point to me, because you can be in the right. He went to prison for this, and you can definitely argue, yeah, they are, as a company, owed stuff. But I don't think he earned like $14.5 million or $10 million from doing this. And if he did, where the fuck is that money? Unless he was living like an absolute baller, unless he was living like somebody who scammed cryptocurrency and NFTs for the last year and was renting private jets and flying around fucking models and doing that cocaine, then it just seems unreasonable. I'd love to see how much money they earned. Oh my god, they were each charged with 11 felony counts, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to circumvent technological measures and to traffic in circumvention devices, trafficking in circumvention devices, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. That's the one that really gets you with the US government. Don't do this one. If you're gonna steal, at least don't try and launder the money. Steal and then pay your taxes on the theft. Otherwise, they're going to fucking come through the skylight with an IRS special investigation team with AR-15s because you owed $100. According to the indictment, Team Xtear at times cloaks its illegal activity with a purported desire to support gaming enthusiasts who wanted to design their own video games for non-commercial use. However, the overwhelming demand and use for the enterprise's devices was to play pirated video games. Of course, it's not like one can exist without the other one, but at the same time, if you're selling it, if you made this open source and gave it away, you're probably still going to get your ass fucked, but it's probably not going to be as bad because you are profiteering from stealing, essentially. To support this illegal activity, the team allegedly helped create and support online libraries of pirated video games for its customers, and several of the enterprise's devices came preloaded with numerous pirated video games. According to the indictment, they were so brazen it even required customers to purchase a license to unlock the full features of its custom firmware in order to enable the ability to play pirated video games. Oh, you done fucking goofed. So they were doing this for 7 years. They probably earned a good chunk of money. But I don't think individually this dude earned $10 million. So this article says he would have to earn $40 million before taxes to be able to pay this back. Because, of course, if they're only taking 25 to 30% of his gross monthly income. So what Nintendo have essentially done here is said, fuck you, old man. You are going to be working in your 70s to pay us back. I wonder what they can do to him if he just gets to like 65 and he's just fucked. Is it going to be one of those circumstances where he's like in a hospice, he's in like care, waiting for the end to come, and Nintendo lawyers are just like stood around the bed? You need to get back to Walmart, guy. You've got to start pushing them trolleys. We need that money pronto. We need that $175 from you working in the prison kitchens again. It's just wild that this can happen. And again, it's hard to massively have sympathy for someone who knowingly was stealing from another company for 7 years, which some people see piracy as a victimless crime. It isn't. If everybody saw it that way and everybody pirated, the victims would be very apparent. The victims would be consumers because less products would be being made. The victims would be people who work at these companies. And you can obviously make the argument that shareholders and executives and stuff get too much money, and that takes away from workers way more than piracy does. But it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like one can exist and the other one can't. Piracy is definitely bad, And especially when it's piracy like this. This isn't you as a consumer downloading one video game. This is somebody selling somebody else's product. That's a complete market replacement. And that's the worst kind of piracy, especially when it's so all-encompassing. But at the same time, I can never in a million years say that this is a reasonable outcome. To go to federal prison, that's already a life ruiner right there for most people. But then also to just be an old dude and you get out and you're just paying all your money back for the rest of your natural life. It's just cruel and unusual punishment, but more so than having an opinion on this, it's just a wild story. It's just a wild outcome. But there we go. That's another drop in the bucket for Nintendo's growing fucking Wikipedia page of, controversies and legal things that they've done over recent years that will just continue, because it does seem like every week something comes out about Nintendo doing something where you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace out.